I was in Akkerman, not in The Hague this time, in Amsterdam. That's a different Akkerman. The one in Amsterdam also doesn't sell the ink. That's the one in The Hague, so don't confuse the two. And Albert, one of the salesmen there, said, "Hey, have you ever reviewed an ST Dupont?" And I said, "No, but interesting that you ask, because I get a lot of review requests for ST Dupont." So, to cut a long story short, he lent me one. He lent me a very nice one. And before going to anything else, why haven't I reviewed ST Dupont before? To be honest, for no particular reason. There aren't that many sellers here who carry the brand. I have no bad experiences with the brand. I have nothing against the brand. I just never really got around to reviewing one. So, ST Dupont, here's the box. It's the size of a small shoebox. It's fairly large. And this is the Spectre model. So it's a bit of a James Bond tie-in. Very nice box, very large, very shiny, nice lacquer. You open the box, there's a little pillow inside that really absorbs all light, that keeps the pen safe. There is a little pen slot, of course, and there is a Spectre little plaque that says Spectre Limited Edition 007. This is number 1069 of 1963. And you can take out this little bed, and then there's a whole bunch of stuff in there, such as a little Spectre limited card with a little secret message slip. I'll come back to that in a second. There is a warranty card. There is a little ST Dupont user guide, which is fairly extensive in a whole bunch of languages, and there is a little box of ST Dupont cartridges. This happens to be royal blue, but I didn't use that. There was also a converter in the pen. Now, here's the pen. It's fairly large. I think it has some interesting features. So I'm going to cover the parts of the pen. I'll tell you what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and then I'll do a writing sample. Let's start at the very top of the pen with the finial. It has the Spectre on it. Then we have the cap. All of this, by the way, is palladium coated, so that's the material. It has nice horizontal lines, and then these twisted grooves, which I'm fairly certain are supposed to represent the rifling in a gun barrel, which is of course what you see with the James Bond openings of the movies, etc. And then we have the clip. The clip has 007 on it. It also is a spring-loaded clip, so it should work very well. And then on the center band it says in large, nice script, ST Dupont, and it says Paris. And as I understand it, the pens are made entirely in France. Cap pops off. Have a section. Section is nice, silver colored, very smooth. And then you have a nib, and that nib actually has a very nice shape. I really like that. Most nibs have a similar shape, but this one is quite nice. That little cutout in the side, I think that's a very nice touch. And on the nib itself, it says 14K585 for the gold content. It says ST Dupont. It has the D for Dupont, and it has an M for medium. So it is a gold nib, 14 karat. The barrel screws off, and then you just have a cartridge converter. So you can either put in cartridges, you can put in a converter. Okay, as I said, it's a fairly large pen, not so much in girth, but it's definitely a bigger pen. It's really quite long, and because of all the metal, it's very solid and heavy. If you like to post your pens, that is possible. It is secure, and it becomes really big and definitely very top heavy. Now, one of the fun things in this pen, that's the last thing I'll show, is right there at the end of the barrel. You don't see much, it's a bit of an odd shape. Well, actually, you can pop that open like this and then unscrew it, and you have a little compartment for secret messages. So that thing that came with it, it's a little sort of a sticker type thing. You can write a little message on it, roll it up if you give it as a gift, and then have someone discover your secret message. And in true James Bond style, you can also see if you can put something in there. For example, here I hid away a large knife. That was a joke. So it's a super small compartment. Clearly not a lot will fit in there. And I can actually use that knife to show you. As you can see, it's not deep at all. That's the maximum depth. So it's not a giant compartment, not like with the Visconti Speakeasy, for example, where you're actually supposed to put a shot of liquor in there. This is just kind of a joke where you can put a little secret message. Or if you're smuggling diamonds, I guess it could be very useful. Okay, now, what do I like about the pen? What do I not like about the pen? I like the looks of the pen. The rifling is cool. It looks cool. It works. The horizontal dashes, ribs, it works. Visually it works. It's a very shiny pen. It's nice. And I haven't really found this to be a fingerprint magnet, which is really nice. Even in the center band, which is quite shiny, I haven't really noticed it. I think that's very nice. Now, as it comes to the whole Spectre tie-in with the little Spectre thing and the finial and all that, I'm not a James Bond fan, and I have to admit I haven't even watched Spectre. So that's not a thing that works for me, but of course there are a lot of fans out there, and I can imagine that for those people this is very exciting. I do like the eye for detail. I do like the little secret compartment. It's really fairly useless because it's very, very small, but it's a nice touch, and it does tie in with the whole secret agents, espionage, etc. Theme. I really like the clip. The spring-loaded clip is always nice. It just snaps off a little easier, it doesn't bend so easily, so I really like that. The nib is really nice, very smooth, very pleasant to use, and I found it to be a pretty consistent writer. There was an occasional skip, but through the whole it really functioned well, and I was very pleased by that. Now, of course, it had better do so because this is a €1,000 pen. When you come into the 4-figure range, of course, people start to expect a lot. Yes, it's palladium covered, and palladium is not the cheapest of metals, but on the other hand, it's not a solid gold pen. And it's, I mean, given the price, I find it a little hard to justify the features of the pen. I understand it's a limited edition, but €1,000 for this pen, I think, is a bit much. Even though it is nicely made, even though it has nice eye for detail, but there's also some things that I don't really like. I mean, the fact that it posts so securely is wonderful, but it's super heavy at the top, and that's not the worst part. For me, something that I find something that really distracts a bit from the quality of the pen is that cap. This is completely loose. So it snaps on there, and that's cute, but it rotates, and not a little bit. You can make it spin. So if I buy a pen at this price, then I would want this to snap shut and stay shut right there. And if it moves a little bit, that's okay, but this is too loose, I think. Apart from that, what do you get for your money? You get a nib that writes really well. You get a nice, larger pen that's definitely comfortable to use if you have larger hands. The section is metal, but I haven't really found it super slippery, even though it is a shiny section. For some reason, I think they got that well. I don't know if it's the palladium covering that makes it a bit grippier, but in any case, it's nice, it's pleasant. I really like it. So, there you have it. This pen was lent, so I will bring it back. It was lent to me, I borrowed it. Yes, English is difficult. So it'll go back to Ackerman. Albert, thanks a lot for lending me this. It's very nice. I hope this was useful so far. As always, measurements of the pen, as well as high-resolution pictures taken by the inimitable gourmet pens, will be on the website sbrebrown.com, and we have to do a writing sample. See how it writes? That's coming up right now, and I'll gladly see you later. Should probably do something with shooting. Anyway, bye! Here we go. With the ST Dupont Spectre. Can't even write it. The nib was a medium, and the ink is very simply Pelikan Royal Blue. Writing is smooth. I really like this nib. It's a very pleasant writer. I find it on the fine side for a medium, but very nice and smooth. Not a sort of glassy, buttery smoothness, but a little bit of feedback, but a very pleasant kind of feedback. I find that very, very pleasant. So that was a skip that I induced. So nice consistent ink flow. Wetness, bear in mind that the Pelikan ink is on the dry side, so it's not really the wettest ink to do this with, but I would say the nib has a pretty good flow to begin with. Okay, some line variation. As you can see, you can squeeze out some line variation if you want to, so that's definitely interesting. And if you want to do reverse writing, then you can't really. Maybe if you use a wetter ink it will work a little better. I'm trying to apply a little bit more pressure. You definitely go from a, well, fine-ish, but definitely medium to something that would be finer, but I think the nib is too dry for that, so that's probably not going to work. So, a kind thank you to Albert at Ackerman for lending me this pen. I appreciate it, and I hope this was useful. And I'm glad to see you later. Etc. Bye.